Coach, tell us a little bit more about these three guys. Give us some prospects on them.
Well, I tell you what, VANCE is I think this will be his third year. He'll be a 3-year starter. He's definitely been playing varsity for 4 years. He's gotten bigger, faster, stronger. He's a great running back, has a great skill set, great vision, great feet, very strong. We expect great things from him this year. Ahmad, he probably has it the hardest because his head coach was an old Mike linebacker. And so, I'm kind of hard on him, but no doubt that he's the quarterback of our defense. He makes us go. He gets us set. He's a person that leads by example. He doesn't say much. All he does is work. And, glad to have him a part of our team. And JEMISON is probably one of the best kept secrets in Birmingham. The secret kind of started to get out when we got him to go out and run track. He had never ran track before, and he went out this year and ran a 10.6 in the 100. And he has great speed. He has a great skill set. He is going to be a very, very explosive player for us. If I had to go out on the ledge, he's going to be one of the most explosive players in the state.
What'd you learn from year one of being a head coach?
How much time do we have? What I learned year one of being a head coach is, prior to getting a job, a lot of people told me, hey, it generally takes 2 to 3 years. It generally takes 2 to 3 years. And I was thinking, yeah, but not me, But what I realized is the fact that after my first spring practice, I looked around to my coaches and I said, my God, did y'all feel that? And they said, yes, what a drastic difference. After the first spring practice, there is such a dramatic difference between year one and year two. It's crazy. And I attribute that to the kids knowing what my expectations are and the expectations of my coaches, me knowing what to expect from them. And your culture is built and starting to be established. And what happens is if you build it right, the people that generally don't want to adhere to that or are not willing to, they pretty much gone. And I think you kind of see that in our season and how it progressed. We started with a lot more people on the roster. And as the year went on, we had less and less people on the roster. It was kind of addition by subtraction. We started playing our best football. And it's kind of the deal.
For the play,
Javonte, Coach said that you're a 3-year starter, that you've been playing on the varsity since you were a freshman. But I think he's your third head coach that you've been through at minor. So what's it like for you now to finally be able to say, wow, I got the same head coach 2 years in a row?
It's a blessing. It's truly a blessing. He came and made a drastic change, and you can just feel it. You can feel the change.
Give me one example. What's an illustration that you can give me that you think it's different?
Wanting to be there. Want to be there. People wanting to come and work. Like, it's just a family now.
So when you think about this team, you guys won 4 games last year, but you got in the playoffs. Would you learn, not just about being a head coach the first year, but what would you learn about this team that makes you optimistic and confident when you look toward 2019?
That we trust each other. And that's the biggest thing. I think if you go back and you look through our schedule and our record, we lost several games by a margin of a touchdown or less. And what that basically boils down to is a series of little things. And when you have a missed block here or a missed assignment there, that goes back to players and lack of discipline, not necessarily when times get tough, trusting your technique, trusting your coaches. And these players show up every day with a zeal to work like none other. We are a lot closer as a team. They're completely trusting of their coaches. And those little things that we lacked last year will definitely make the difference this year.
JAMARI, I think it's interesting, Coach, we're talking about you running track. So if you're running a 10.6, you're clearly a fast guy. You're probably always one of the fastest kids in school. Why hadn't you run track before?
I never really paid attention to track, but once they told me about it, I started looking into it and was like, okay, I'll try it. And I started to to love doing it, and I ain't really think that I was gonna end up running the 10.6 because like my first meet I ran 11.5, I want to say, and after all the practice and development I had, like I just started to love it. So.
And you were playing football before running track?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so he said he was surprised he ran that fast. Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised at all. I tell every recruiter that comes through and everybody I know, I've only coached one player that had elite speed other than JAMARI, and that was Marlon Humphrey. And I say it all the time, and it's funny because when Marlon comes home, he'll come out to minor, and he'll run with us. And, you know, I didn't tell him who JAMARI was or whatever, but after running, he said, "Coach, who is that kid?" You know, and I tell him all the time, he really has something special. He has a God-given talent. And we're going to do a better job as coaches finding a way to get him the ball. But we're going to showcase him this year.
Coach, tell us about football has changed over the years from the old school way of coaching to social media huddle. Yeah. How has that impacted your game and how you coach?
Well, really, I'm going to be honest. If I'm being completely forthcoming, social media is the biggest, probably one of my biggest struggles, if not the biggest struggle that I had as a head coach. And I say that because we're in a day and age to where people, if they don't see it, then it's not happening. A lot of people use Twitter for news, Facebook. And so, but how I was raised and just kind of how I am, I don't even have a Facebook page. I live vicariously through my wife. Everybody who knows me knows my wife. And so I do have Twitter. But if I'm going to read to kids or I'm going to do a community service project, the first thing I think of is not taking a picture, you know. And so my wife had to tell me, like, baby, you have to also promote your program. So at times I struggled with it because it seemed a little disingenuous, but at the same time, I have an obligation to my program to promote my program and the great things that we are doing, because just being honest, where we are right now in high school football, retention is real. The college game has kind of trickled down to us, and you have to retain your own players, you know, and if, you know, it seems as if people are doing a lot more on the outside, you know, because of social media and things like that, then retention may be a problem for you.
For the players yourselves, how do you all use social media to prepare during the week, game day? Well, either one. Start on one end, go to the other.
Go ahead, Jay.
Now you can go.
When fall camp hits, I delete social media. So I can stay focused.
For football, I don't really use social media. Just for like recruiting and stuff, post my highlights. That's about it.
I don't really be on my phone, so it's kind of hard to.
Well, Coach likes to hear that.
Guys after my own heart. That's exactly what I was thinking.
When Coach got there, though, and he said that he didn't have a Twitter account, and he didn't use Facebook, what did you guys think of that? Did you think this guy's a dinosaur, or did you think, oh, you know, what have we gotten ourselves into? What was the reaction?
Before Coach came, it was straight Facebook and Twitter. And when he came and he said he didn't have one, I was thinking he's not human. but he got us into it.
But I mean, and it sounds like you can appreciate where he was coming from.
Of
now.
course.
Tell me how he was able to help you make that transition.
When you go on Facebook and Twitter, it's more of who's better than who. And when you delete that, it's like you focused on you and your team. And you put your team first in everything you do, and it just helps you build.
Do you guys use huddle and max preps to scout other teams and prepare for game day?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys have instant replay last year?
No, we did not.
Will you guys have it this fall?
Honestly, no, I don't think we will. And I say that because last year we played what I call kind of blind. We were at a point where I had a good number of kids that came out, And the money that we raised and generated, we went to helmets. We had to buy a lot of extra helmets, which is a good problem to have. But when it got to having, in this day and age, what I'd attribute to the necessary technology that you need on the sideline, we did not have that, as in huddle sideline, as in ability or TVs or iPad or something to be able to see and make mistakes. And so that's why I say we were coaching blind. So this year, in year 2, what I did was we were able to purchase huddle sideline. We were able to get iPads for the sideline. We were able to even get an end zone camera. So now we have an end zone shot. And so, those are the things I think that when you're talking about building the infrastructure of a program, you have to have first, and then everything else you can build up to. So yeah, we're working our way up to that.
And I mean, you were at Hoover where you guys had those things. So when you got there, how surprising was it when you learned, hey, we're not going to be able to look at film on the sideline, for instance?
It was definitely, it really, I think you take things like that for granted when you're at a place where you have all resources at your disposal. But at the same time, it helps you have a greater appreciation when you get people in the community to get behind you and you're able to build those things. Because if we were able to get to the playoffs in year 1 and we were in essence coaching blind, now that we have some of those things that our players have never really been exposed to, I like our chances.
Coach, tell us about your kicking game this year. Who's doing duties for you in kicking? And
well, the good news is that I have 2 young kids coming up that'll be incoming 9th graders. I had a kicker last year, Kevin Renage, and honestly, my kicker didn't even speak English. He was the best soccer player, and I showed him a YouTube video, and I threw him a football and I asked him if he could do it. He said yeah, and he juggled the football like a soccer ball on his foot. But when he kicked it for the first time and he missed it, I knew he was going to be our guy because it made him mad. He was like, let me do it again. And so we learned a couple words last year to kind of talk to him, bajo media. We learned some different things. And he turned out being a good kicker in his first year. Unfortunately, he was a senior. So I got 2 kids coming up that are 9th graders that are really excited about kicking. And so the good news is that they're going to be with us for a long time. The bad news is they're incoming 9th graders. So we'll see.
Return game, one of these guys? Or
every opportunity that we have to get the ball in that guy's hands, we're going to do it. So he's definitely going to be one of our return guys.
And JAMARI, obviously when your head coach is talking about getting you the ball and you're the best kept secret in Birmingham, how does that make you feel? And what kind of expectation do you have for yourself for this season?
To make a play every time I get the ball. So, yeah.
Is that simple?
Coach, this is not a question I've asked everybody, but I thought I'd start asking now.
Okay.
You talk about community. What are the minor Tigers doing in the community over minor to get the people around this football team this year?
It's crazy you said that. I just answered a text back from Brookview Elementary. Brookview Elementary there in the community, because last year the teachers they asked me to come over. They said, hey, could you bring 5 or 10 players to come over? We need to move some desks. And so I went over and our entire team went over and we were able to move their entire school. She had 1 or 2 things for us to do. I said, hey, if you have a list, a wish list, pull it out now. And we were able to move that entire school desk and everything in probably about 30 minutes. And so she reached out to me and said, hey, could you do that again for me? I said, we'll be happy to. We'll be in the middle of fall camp next week, but we'll make sure that we'll get over and do things like that. Also partnering with Park West, partnering with Adamsville, the kids. If you want to build a program, in order for a program to have sustained success, you have got to reach out to the park leagues. You have got to integrate the middle school. This year we started with our middle school going through summer workouts with us. So we're all speaking the same language that empowers our coaches, while them having extra help, because middle schools often struggle with having enough guys. So now there's more eyes on his kids, which I talked about earlier, retention rates. When kids in middle school start working out with the high school, they feel like, oh man, I want to be a part of this. How awesome is it to be a middle schooler working out with the high school? And so that helps you in retention. And so we're all getting on the same page, building a sound foundation for sustained success.
Sounds like you're building a good program in minor.
That's definitely our objective. We work on it every day.